coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound, man. I appreciate the love. Boom, 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 boom. I appreciate the support. We out here, man. We out here. 33 years of prison stories. We rolling. We rolling. We on the road to 100K. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. Trying to put this positive energy out there, man. We trying to spread it all over the world. Yeah, can't stop, won't stop, man. Woo! Man, I don't know what made this pop up in my mind, man, but I was debating on whether or not to tell this story or how to tell this story. And then I was just like, well, I'm just going to tell it the way I know it, you know what I'm saying? But this right here for sure is it's a prison lesson that I would never forget. It's a prison lesson that I would never forget, man. And it just gave me insight into, like, you know, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge, you know, what the optics give you. What you looking at may not be what you see. And yeah, man, this was a story, man, that just stayed in my head, you know, for the entirety of my sentence. And I used that as a compass, as the way I looked at people and how I perceived them, and versus what they projected and what they, you know, put out. So, yeah, but I can remember, man, I met this dude, big dude, man, dude named Jeff, right? Real big dude, man. I'm talking probably like 6'4", about 260, you know. He won't out of shape, but he won't in shape, you know, just a big dude, you know, always wore afro, you know, even when, you know, dudes weren't wearing afros, you know, he always wore this afro probably about that much, you know, had a little taper and everything. But what I always known him for was you know, he always seemed like he was hustling, trying to, you know, run little scams and do this and do that, because he was a drug addict. He liked to get high. So he always wanted to be hustling and trying to sell this, trying to do that. And, you know, all of it was for his main goal was to get money for when, you know, the drugs hit the compound, that he can get high, you know. And but, you know, he always kept himself together. He always looked neat. He always kept a, you know, a little taper and stuff, like a Steve Harvey, when Steve Harvey had hair, but just maybe a little shorter. He always had his hair, always had his little fro tapered up, and, you know, he always had his little clothes on, neat, moving around or whatever. And like I say, he was a big joker, you know what I'm saying? But also, he was known to always, you know, stay around the little young white boys, you know what I'm saying? He always had him a little white boy. He either, you know, did some type of way, made him a boy, or they was already a boy, and he'd just be with him, and more or less from the optics it looked like that would, you know, he was their protection. But most of the time he would get one of them little white boys because they needed protection, and also they probably had some money. You know what I'm saying? So that was a resource for him to use as well when all else fails, when he couldn't, you know, shake and bake and flim flam and, you know, scam and all of that. He, you know what I'm saying, he can get money from him and go get what he need to get high. You know what I'm saying? So I always looked at him as, you know, like I said, kind of like a shyster, you know what I'm saying? Because you could tell them type of dudes, the way they fast talking, they always smiling like, yeah, I'll do da-da-da-da. Now, back in this time, when I first met him, you know, I had the little flim flammery going too, far as like, you know, I'm not like flim flamming, but I was like had got into, you know, hustling in the penitentiary. you know, getting a little weed or whatever, selling weed, you know, store boxing, you know, doing all this. I'm doing all of this stuff too, which is larceny. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no other name for it. It's larceny. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? And I know that these are resources to survive in prison. You know, running a store box or selling drugs in prison. You know what I'm saying? All things that'll get you late in prison, but these are all also things that'll get you, you know, what you need in prison that you can survive, and you won't have to be out there scrambling or doing this or doing that. You know what I'm saying? If you got access to these things, or you got the heart, you know, and the patience to run a store box, you know what I'm saying? These things can be beneficial to you, you know. But like I say, they all come with a cost. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, somebody play with that money, then you got to do what you got to do, and the gig is over either way you look at it. So you know, but like I say, these are risks that you take in prison, man. When you got to do what you got to do. So this is how I came in contact with old boy, because he always wanted to, you know, get some weed if I had it, or he always wanted to, you know, borrow from the store box. Now, mind you, I told y'all I ran the store box with an iron fist. You know what I'm saying? You could choose to come get it from me if you want to, because 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 I had it. You can choose to come get it from me, but I'm gonna let you know what the consequences is if you get mine and don't pay it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of dudes ain't want to hear that. You know, because they men. These men we talking to in prison. You ain't got to tell me, man, I got to pay you. If I come get something, I'm going to pay my... You ain't got to tell me all that like you talk to me like I'm a child. Okay, I just want the bar to be understood. You know what I'm saying? And I can understand their perspective, because I wouldn't want to hear that if I was getting something from somebody. Man, you ain't got to tell me if I'm coming to get... But you got to tell these people, because some of them going to play. And you need to let them know, if you play, I'm not going to be playing. I don't care if it's a bag of tater chips, it's a soda, a honey bun. I don't care. Don't come get it and don't want to give it back to me, or be playing games or giving me 100 stories. And I'm not trying to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? If you want it, you can get it, but this is what you got to bring back, and this is when you got to bring it back. And when I first started running the store box, I used to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted people to know that, you know, it's consequences that come with this stuff, man, if you're playing games. You know what I'm saying? So maybe, you know what I'm saying, in retrospect, looking back, I could see how that was rubbing people the wrong way. So some people would just avoid my store box altogether when I first started doing it, because of you know, my little speech that I was giving them. But anyway, he was the type of dude, he'll come and I could feel it, the flammer, and he's like, man, you know, Banky man, let me get this. And I be like, man, when you gonna have this back? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have on store day, as soon as they come back from store. But if I don't have it by the end, I have it before the end of the night. All of that, I be like, look, man, look, just tell me when you gonna have it. I need to know for sure, because I'm gonna take you for your word. But I'm telling you right now, don't get it if you ain't gonna have it. I'm telling you, don't get it if you're not gonna have it. So he be like, no, I'm gonna have it. So, and then, you know, like I say, I dealt with him, you know what I'm saying, on those type of bases, and more or less all the time, he always had my money. If he didn't have my money on time, I'm gonna tax you. I'm gonna put more interest on it, and you gonna have to have that the next day, the following day. So now, when you could have paid today, the next day you gonna have to pay more, and you gonna have to have it the next day, or you gonna get the business. So he always took care of his business as far as that sense, because I think he took me as a serious cat, and he knew I wasn't playing. But I had known that he had played with people before. He was known to be on people. So when I know dudes is known to be on people, other store boxes, on the drug man, or on people, and they come to me as a last result because nobody else won't give them nothing. I'm letting them know, I already know what the rumors is. So if you coming to get mines and think you ain't gonna pay me, it ain't gonna be like Joe Blow and Bobby. You know what I'm saying? Where they gonna keep on saying, oh yeah, well he ain't pay me, and then they putting bad rumors about you out. Nah, I'm gonna put hands on you about mine. I ain't gonna be putting no rumors out about you. I'm gonna put hands on you about mine. So don't get it if you ain't got it. You know, so I think he understood that, and he would make sure that I got my money, right? So anyway, like I said, I used to see him moving around and the way he moving, the way he operating, and then I used to see him with his peoples, his boy, whatever, he handling, him like he, like a straight thug. Like he, no, look, go on back in the cell. No, don't do that. He'll gamble a lot too. He'll come to the poker table, he'll gamble, he'll try his hand to try to, hit up on something. You know what I'm saying? And man, man, I used to just be like, looking at him in that particular light, as if he just was a flim flam dude. He was, go both ways. He flim flam. He a con artist. He a dope fiend. He just want to get high. He'll say and do anything he can do to get high. So that's the way I perceived him, right? But I didn't see what I was about to find out. Now, I had an old head, man. I ain't even gonna call his name. I'm not even gonna call his name, but I had an old head that I was cool with. Been in the penitentiary a long time, and he was a hustler, man. He get money. You know what I'm saying? He get money. Any way it was to get money in the penitentiary, he knew how to turn money. Run gambling games. Sell this, sell that somehow. Drugs always touch his hand. He just was he was a mover and a shaker in the penitentiary. And he was respected. You know what I'm saying? He was a respected dude. So by me and him being cool, I can remember one day, man, me and him was out there on the yard, and we was just talking, man. We was walking laps and talking. And I see old boy Jeff, right? So Jeff is walking one way, we going this way, he coming this way. So when we pass him, and Jeff is with his people, and we pass him, he speak, and we keep going. So then as we walking, he was like, yeah, man, he said, he said, oh boy, funny as I don't know what. And I said, yeah, man, he crazy as I don't know what, man. He be running around here with all that flim flam, man, trying to, what I'm saying, get high. I said, but all the time, he stay up under that boy because that boy got that money and everything. So that's why he got that little boy, because that boy be getting him all this money. So, man, he looked right at me and he said, he a boy himself, right? I said, what? He said, you ain't know that. I turned around and looked, they walking up. I'm like, this big old joker, man. You say he a boy? He said, man. He said, man, he a boy, man. I said, what? How you know? He said, oh, I know. I said, how you know? He said, man. He said, listen. He said, he been locked up for a minute, right? He said, I was in the wall, because this dude that I'm talking about in particular, the old head, he used to get high, but he don't get high no more. And he used to, be all into the gambling, this, that, and the third back there. But now, what I'm saying, he older, he just know the penitentiary. He know how to maneuver, he know how to get around, he know all the ins and out of the penitentiary and how to, he can run it like a fine-tooth comb. But he was talking about back in the day when he first came in, and he back there in the wall, and he was like, yeah, man, I got all this time, whatever, he said I was getting high, we all was getting high back there in the wall, man, we shooting up dope, we doing this, doing that, we gambling. So he said, man, I'm gambling with this dude one time, and I beat him out a decent amount of money, right? And he ain't had my money. So I'm pressing him, and I'm telling him he got to get that money. I need that money, man. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? I can't take that loss. So he kept on telling me that he was gonna send me the money the next day, and I kept on telling him I got to have it. He said this after about a week when he is supposed to pay me. So he like a week late. So he said I kept telling him, man, I got to have it, man. He said I ain't really want to do nothing to him, but I had to do something to him about my money, because I really wanted my money. So he said, dude told me, man, he assured me he gonna have me the money the next day. He was gonna send it up to me. He said, because we was on different blocks. So I said, oh yeah. So he said, yeah. So he said, I'm sitting up in my cell one day. So I'm waiting. He said it's about noon, right after we done had lunch. And he said, I'm waiting. This cat ain't sent me my money yet. He said, then all of a sudden, I'm in there sitting there watching TV. He said, then a little knock on the door. He said, I look up. He said, it's Jeff, right? I said, yeah, what's up? He said, such and such send me. And he said, he said, yeah, he sent the money? So he said, Jeff, look around, look left, look right, step into his cell and said, yeah. He said, where it at? He said, man, Jeff looked right in his face and said, I am the money. And go over to the bed, pull his pants down, lay on the bed on his stomach. I say, what? What? He said, yeah. He said, that's why. He said, I didn't even know back then, you know, we was all young and everything. And he said, we in the penitentiary, and I'm looking at him too, this big old joker, and he looked me right in my face and say, I am the money, and went and laid on the bed and on his stomach. I'm like, and at this time, I had never heard that or never perceived him as that. And, you know, I'm still like early in my bit. I ain't even did a decade yet. I ain't did 10 years or nothing yet. I'm probably right around like 7, 8 in between there. So this stuff is still mind-boggling to me because my perception of him was what I just, you know, previously told y'all. And now I'm looking at this cat in a whole different light. I'm like, what? That joke just stuck in my head for the rest of the time that I knew him, and the rest of the time, every time I ever seen him, and I ended up running into him many, many times on many different institutions. And it's some crazy, even crazier, if you can believe that, even crazier stories about him. But from every time that I seen him, all I ever thought in my head when I seen him, it would just be ringing in my head. I am the money. I am the money. Man. Yeah, that just blew my mind, man. And I was like, are you serious? And I know the cat that I'm talking to, he ain't the type to be lying and you know, he gonna be straight up about who he is, what he is, and he ain't one of them type of embellishers. He ain't gonna just make stuff up. You know what I'm saying? Because he won't into none of that foolishness no more. This is what he was into. You know what I'm saying? He straight up about it. And I'm like, and he was like, yeah. He said, and I'm just blown. I'm blown about this. And we steady walking and talking and everything. And I know what all of y'all is wondering, and you what you want to ask, because that's what I wanted to ask him. And I asked him. I said, so what you do? I said, what you do, man? He said, I got the money. I say, what? Man, it just, you penitentiary, man, it's just, things is never what they seem. You cannot, you can't get it ain't no rhyme or reason, you know? So I'm like, man, he was like, yeah, I got the money. You know, he said, yeah, I mean, he owed me and I got the money. And, yeah, he said, but, that's what he was, and that's what he gonna always be. You know what I'm saying? He was used to pay the debt, and dude told me he had the money, and he had owed that dude, and he was actually that dude's people. And the dude ain't had the money, so the dude sent him to pay the debt. And I said, man, you know, so you know, you knew in prison and you hearing these things and you seeing these things, man, it's like forever, like just blowing your mind, just the different things that you run across, the different things that you learn, the way of life in here, and it's just crazy, man. And I was like, man. So then it just, you know, when you young like I was, and this stuff don't really compute to you, your mind just going 100 miles per hour, because now I'm looking at it like, how, and we walking laps, and they walking laps, and we keep passing them, and then all of this stuff going through my mind, and I'm like, boom, he's like, they actually walking past each other, and, you know, just regularly speaking, and all of this and transpired way back then. You know what I'm saying? I know it's like, it don't make sense to y'all because it ain't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's the type of stuff that was running through my mind. I'm like, it just was weird. It was just super weird, man. And then I found myself, you know, you know, I'm not going to, you know, break his confidence and go, you know, say nothing about it or nothing like that, or even, you know, tell the dude I know or nothing like that. But I found myself, I had to check myself because I was younger. I found myself now, like, being that I'm looking at him different, I'm actually treating him different. You know what I'm saying? I'm being more aggressive. He come to buy something, I'm like, man, look, you got that? I mean, don't, you know what I'm saying? Go get the other store box, man, if you ain't gonna have it. You know what I'm saying? You can't be late. You can't be one day late. You can't, you know, I need it. Yeah, man, I always pay you, Bank. You know I'm gonna pay you, I'm gonna pay you. I'm like, all right, I'm just letting you know. And send him on about his way. You know what I'm saying? Because now all of this information is in my head and I'm looking at this big old dude and I'm saying to myself, man, that's unbelievable, man. But it was believable because it was real. But you know, that's prison for you, man. That's prison for you, man. And he stayed hustling. And he stayed, and I seen him too in like, you know, poker bring out all types of stuff. You know, gambling bring out all types of, you know, violence gonna break out in gambling. You know, I done seen him toting in Bethlehem. I done seen him get to arguing at poker games and barking and being he got size and he barking. But see, that's the camouflage. Because people don't know him. You got new people coming in prison, like younger people like me. So I from the optics looking this one, I'm thinking that, you know, this is a big old joker and he, you know what I'm saying, he be barking, he been in penitentiary a long time, he, you know what I'm saying, woo woo woo, but all the time, you know, I don't judge him what he into with the white boy because that's his life. You know, he been in penitentiary, I don't judge him for that because I know dudes that do that and they would kill you. You know what I'm saying? They would kill you. So I didn't, but to know that he doing the other, I was like, man, this, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it at first because my eyes won't, you know, in tune to that type of stuff because I didn't know nothing about that type of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't been in penitentiary long enough to know that, you know what I'm saying, that he could even possibly be like that because of the image that he projected. But dudes who had been in the penitentiary a long time, it was like public knowledge to them. They already been knew this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just the one that's just finding out. But they been knew that this is who he was. But the younger dudes that was in just like me, they didn't even know. Because I just seen him, like I say, barking on dudes and pulling up on dudes and, you know, like he gonna really do something. But, you know what I'm saying? What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I don't know what you gonna do. And maybe he will do something. But just having that knowledge in my head that I know what he will do and what he has done, I had to try to, you know, make some sense in it in my brain about how to look at him or how to deal with him. I didn't know how to treat him. I ain't know how to treat him, man. And I didn't really want to deal with him at all after that because I was just so confused. I ain't want to deal with him because I ain't know if I was going to have problems with him and I had to hurt him or whatever. I just ain't want to deal with him, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I just looked at him so different, man. Then I remember, man, he ended up going to jail because he got caught with some drugs in the cell. Him and the white boy, they both of them went to jail. You know what I'm saying? And then that was crazy because he tried to put all the weight on the white boy. Like it was a white boy drug. He tried to make the white boy claim the drugs. And the white boy was so scared, he actually claimed the drugs. You know what I'm saying? And then he go to jail too, though, because you still going to jail for investigation. But he ended up getting out before the white boy got out. The white boy sitting back there with a drug charge and it won't even his drugs. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, this is insanity. You know what I'm saying? They done put me in, you know, the crazy house, man. So, yeah, man, that was just a wild thing. That's just a lesson that I'll never forget, man. Don't be just looking at people and thinking whatever they putting out. And that's how we hear like this in society, man. You see all this stuff on social media, you see all this stuff on, you know, TV and in movies, and you got this perception of people, and people could be completely different than what we, you know, see or what they project. Completely different, because he was completely different. You understand? And it was wild, man. It just was a wild thing, man. And then I can remember, you know, later on, you know, like say this was on one institution. I can remember being on another institution with him, and he ended up in the block with me, and he was doing the same thing. He had the same MO, the same game. He running around with the little white boys. He borrowing money from people. He running behind everybody who got the drugs. You know what I'm saying? He playing poker. He shooting dice. You know what I'm saying? He drinking. He running. He acting like an old head in the penitentiary, still wearing this little Steve Harvey fro and walking around acting like he just like a tough guy and like he just a penitentiary old head that didn't know what's going on, didn't know the lay of the land. But I got this knowledge in my head. When I see him there, all I think is, he is the money. You know what I'm saying? He is the money. You know what I'm saying? And I just never couldn't get that out of my head. I could never get it out of my head. And I used to tell the old head who told me all the time, I said, man, ever since you told me that, man, I said, every time I look at dude, all I think is of him saying, I am the money. And he'll just bust out laughing when I said it. That's what he said. That's what he said. And I said, yeah, it was crazy to me, man. But yeah, man, and then dude, he ended up doing a lot of crazy stuff. Then I was on the camp with him, and he had a girl come and see him. You know what I'm saying? He had a girl come and see him every week, and she was bringing him drugs every now and then. She would bring him drugs so he would get his own, which took a lot of pressure off of him, because if not, he had to be back there pulling all that flammery where, sooner or later that's gonna come to some Bethlehem play or somebody, something gonna go down. When you be on people in here, or you be getting stuff on credit and you don't pay it, it's just a matter of time. Only reason most of the time dudes give you a little leeway is because it's probably a dude that's getting money, and he don't want to stop all of his getting money by going to jail, catching the charge, pushing the Bethlehem menu over this one debt when he got 30, 40, 50 other people owe him. But sometimes dudes just, you get them zero tolerance dude, they don't care. They gonna sacrifice everything to set this example, because they know that when they set this example, wherever they emerge at, if they come back out on here or come back out somewhere else, wherever they emerge at, that example is going to still carry. So, when you borrow from somebody and you don't have that money, then you don't know if you going to end up being that example, because you could end up being that example. But a lot of dudes play the odds with that too. Oh, he ain't going to mess me up over $100, $150. He getting thousands of dollars a week. He going to work with me. Nah, it ain't got to work like that. It ain't got to work like that. I'm telling you, I done seen dudes getting an astronomical amount of money, penitentiary-wise, astronomical amount of money. Throw it all away for $4, $5. If you owe them and you don't pay them, and you acting like you ain't gonna pay them, nah, they just not gonna accept it. So that's the way I looked at him. But he used to go in that visiting room, and I used to be in there every weekend, so I used to see him pulling the moves. I used to see his people, you know what I'm saying? And at this time again, some of them time I had stuff. I used to tell him stuff, give him stuff, and he used to always pay me on time. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he knew that I knew about him or not. I don't know. I think maybe he kind of figured it out, as time went on, and then, as I run into him different times in different camps. Now I'd been locked up longer and longer and longer, so he know more or less that this probably had came across my ears, because he see that the only dudes I really deal with is the old timers, the old heads. So he know in his mind, in the back of his mind, I felt like he knew somebody had told me about his history. You see what I'm saying? So he always was respectful and stuff with me, but I used to start hearing little stuff about him, man. You gotta watch him, man. He hot, man. He'll tell, you know what I'm saying? If he get locked up, he get squeezed, he'll tell. See, because them dudes that got them drug habits, they can't stay in that hole for a long time, because they gonna get sick. Because if they out here on the compound and them drugs coming, then they used to having them drugs in their system, and then they can't get them no more. They stuck back there in the hole. They'll get sick. So they'll tell. They'll drop a note on somebody. They'll tell who bringing in the drugs. They'll get somebody up so they won't have to be back there for a long time. Straight up. And they were saying that about him. So I was a little leery and skeptical about dealing with him. You know what I'm saying? And but like I say, I did, and you know what I'm saying? And I used to give him stuff, and he used to always take care of the debt he owed me. And I can remember, man, one time he wanted something from me, and he said he didn't have the money, but he said when the visit come, his girl was gonna bring him some cash money, right? And I said, man, is you 100% sure? He said, yeah. So I gave it to him. When that weekend came for the visit, and I could remember being in the visiting room, and in my, your subconscious, I'm looking at him and see if I could peep him getting some money, if I could see. So if he come back with any type of excuse, I'm secretly looking at him. So I can remember his people get up to go to the machine, and I'm sitting close enough to him where we, within talking distance, and he turns around, and while we in the visiting room, it says to me, yo, hey, yo, Bank. I said, yeah. He said, my people got that, but I don't really want to take it back. Can they give it to your people in the parking lot? I said, what? He said, yeah, they'll give it to in the parking lot. That's my word. I promise. So I look at my people and I'm like, you won't get this money from those people? You know what I'm saying? So they was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay. He said, yeah, it's a lock, guaranteed. So his people ended up giving the money that he owed me to my people in the parking lot. He took care of it. That was that. Boom, boom, boom. So I can remember it was probably like 4-5 months later. I hadn't really did any more business with him or nothing. It seemed like he was, he was going through some stuff. He was in a drought. And then people started, putting little rumors out about him saying, man, they can really bring some cold cases up on Jeff. And I was like, what? I said, man, I'm telling you, they get ready to bring some cold cases up on him. And if you know what a cold case is, that's an old case from way back in the day that, has resurfaced, and all roads lead back to you. Now, these cold cases are bodies, murders from the early 70s. So I'm like, what? What? They was like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, people talking about it, man. They said the joint was on the news. And they saying it's him. I said, get out of here, man. So they was like, yeah. So showing up within the next week, man, investigators started coming in and pulling him out, taking him out. I mean, he went out like 2 or 3 times a week. So now everybody looking at you like, man, where this Joker going? He going getting pulled out, being took over there to the administration, talking to some peoples, right? So I can remember him going in the visiting room, and I'm in the visiting room, and when I'm in there, my people come in there and they tell me that his people just left. When they coming in, she leaving out. She told me that she told her, don't deal with him no more. Don't deal with him no more. This is the last time I'm ever coming up here. I ain't never coming to see him no more. And tell him stay away from him because he talking to the feds. I say, oh God, man, I'm telling it crazy, just like mind blowing. This is true, actual facts. Mind blowing. I'm like, man. So then I think back to these people saying that this dude get ready to get some cold cases brought up against him, and then they tell me he talked to the feds, but I ain't did nothing but, you know what I'm saying, gave him little penitentiary drugs. It ain't no kingpin stuff. It ain't nothing that, you know what I'm saying? But it just, I ain't want nothing else to do with him, which, I ain't even have a choice anyway, because like probably about a couple of weeks later, they came and took him up out of there. And as far as I know, he got some cold cases. He got some cold cases. And this was crazy. Doing this by this time, he had already been in the penitentiary almost 40 years. Almost 40 years. You know what I'm saying? And now I never really heard what happened, you know what I'm saying, with the rest of his stuff. But if all that came back to him, he probably ain't gonna never ever see the streets. But, yeah, crazy. I know this is a wild one right here. All this stuff is still jumping up in my head. I said I ain't here to tell y'all, but crazy, real true story, a prison story I'll never forget, man. And I'm going to do some checking and see if I can find out what his status is, where he at, if he's still locked up, what happened with the cold cases, man. And if y'all want to know, I'll get back to y'all and let y'all know. Just hit me in the comments and let me know. I know this one kind of all over the place, but I'm just trying to rekindle this stuff in my head, man, because when I just thought about that, I seen something say, I am the money, and I just thought about it, man, you know what I'm saying, it popped in my head, and I wanted to share this with y'all, though, but this is penitentiary life, man, this is the craziness that we live in, man, and yeah, I remember it just as clear as day, you know, but like I say, man, it's a blessing in every lesson, man, and the blessing is, man, that, you know, I didn't get caught up in none of his foolishness. He ain't never tell on me or put me under the gun. I ain't never had to deal with none of his craziness. He always paid me. But you know, you learn as you go, man. If you don't, you know, you're gonna end up getting in a situation or you're gonna get late. So you got to keep your mind open, man, and your eyes open, and pay attention to what's going on around you when you in this type of environment, man. Or before you know it, man, you caught up into something that you can't get yourself out of, man. But, you know, that didn't happen to me, fortunately, and I was green as a pool table 4 times square, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, God was with me, man, got me through them little situations, man. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Talk to me, I talk back, man. In the meantime, in between time, y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions, man. I'll be back with y'all in 24 hours, and by all means, man, boom, 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 boom. Duck them hooks, man, and don't judge a book by its cover, man. They might be the money. Bow.
The banking special. Yeah. Pure deliciousness. Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's a name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.